the first time we had such a great conversation on cryogenics and Ethereum and life extensions that I thought we should try to do
That's
it
right.
again.
Yeah. So what was that, like maybe probably about 6 months ago, right?
Oh, wow.
It was well before Christmas. So
And we're
I
still
can't
here.
actually, no, it's probably about 4 months ago, because I remember I used I used Christmas lights as like a lighting effect in my video, because I thought I was going to be like, Mr. YouTube and have some nice lighting effects, and I had my Christmas lights. So it was probably about October, November. And yeah, we had a great conversation for about 2 hours, and we were really happy about it. And then we found out that Anne didn't press the record button, which I think was
that's the question. How does it feel, Anne?
Feels bad. Like, I constantly think back about like the best podcast we ever recorded and how like it will be forever lost upon.
I think we were trying to make you feel better, and we were saying all these positive things, but I genuinely think that it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Like we can. It probably wasn't as good as we thought it was, basically.
Oh no, it was better than what we thought. You're right, actually.
Yeah. I was completely pissed. It was late at night, and
that was good, right?
And we were kind of still we were talking about stuff that I think now we have really moved to a new level on. So yeah, I don't know. I think we should try again, and maybe just like kind of, just as a brief outline of what we were talking about, we were really exploring our initial ideas of what we think of the extropian movement, I guess, and we're kind of like, I remember we were asking questions like, what do you think? Sorry, Anuj, you have something to say?
Yes, I have a question in mind. I was thinking about this, and this is something that actually happened in a conversation with someone in the crypto space. Is that, do you think we will become better people or worse people, or our behavior will change? Suddenly we would just not die. Like, would it make us in any way, I don't know, different? In like, would you keep going to the job you go, or I don't know, the things that we do every day, or would we just like give no fuck? Drink beer all day?
I think that's a super interesting question coming from the crypto community. Did you say it came from the crypto community?
Yeah. One of the prime, very important crypto person that we all know.
I think you know who that is.
Yeah. Anuj does.
Yeah, to remain unnamed.
Mm-hmm.
Why I say that's interesting from the crypto community is, well, I mean, what does it mean for the value of a cryptocurrency? Like, what does it mean for the value of, like, I mean, you can say like, would we still work? Would we still bother with work? But what that really means is, would money mean anything to us anymore?
I mean, would work mean anything to us? Would anything? Because we can always do it tomorrow. If you know that you didn't have to die, I always have it tomorrow, and a day after tomorrow, and a day after tomorrow. And also the risks we would take, like we would just, I don't know, maybe we will take a way less risk, because as long as we don't kill ourselves, we don't do anything to kill. Like, naturally, there is no natural death happening tomorrow. And so we would be super careful in what we eat.
But wait. You can't just say, would you work anymore? You have to frame it like, pick a profession, right? What if you're a barber? Okay, you just cut hair.
Yeah,
or a dentist, like,
or a dentist,
essential services. But like, I guess the financial institutions, they would be significantly impacted, because like money equals survival, right? But in this case, but wouldn't there still be a struggle for survival on another level? Like even though we think that, we would live forever, wouldn't there still be like this problem with competition over resources, for example?
I mean, yes and no. I think as long as, I mean, it is true that almost most work we trade for time. Like my time I'm giving to get money for something. Unless, I mean, when I like something or in love with an idea, I'm working at it, and the money is a kind of a surplus. But the more we start thinking of money, that means, we the equation with time. And if I know the time is unlimited that I have, then I'm like, now that I have unlimited time, maybe I won't do this thing. Maybe I will wait to do something else. Like, I have the time to afford, but at the same time, once I know that there is the natural death, a lot of people who do jobs that are risky, like oil mines and stuff, like inhale all kinds of stuff, but they know that they will get a lot of money that they could better utilize. They will be like, that's not worth it because I'm gonna live forever. But by going to oil mine, probably even if I get the money, I might die early because I might get some cancer or something like that. So a lot of like jobs which people do have high risk, risk related to health. People be like COVID, for example. If we knew the only thing that could kill us is COVID, because naturally we would never die. I'm
Mm.
sure everybody would have like masks, like 10 masks on. Because, I mean, this is the chance of immortality. Why would you waste it in just like for some individual liberty? Really, even the Republicans of America who believe in individual, my body, my mask, or I don't put it. They'll be like, no, 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 no. It's immortality at stake. I think I think it'll be weird because I don't think society will function. I mean, maybe still function, but not in the way because if a lot of people didn't do the risky job, somebody has to do it. So how do you
Yeah.
do it? Like, will there be propaganda? Some people will do misinformation. It's a lie. Actually, we still die just to make some people still do those jobs. I don't know.
Oh, that sounds like a whole plot right there. It's like,
To write a
take
story.
I mean, at the end of the day, I only see kind of like the rich benefiting of life extension, because somebody has to do the maintenance work, right? The
Yeah,
job nobody wants to do. So I still see this as like going to shit and, perpetuating the inequalities we face today. So,
I think it
yeah.
also depends on what you mean by life extension as well. Like does that
Yep.
mean does it mean you just there's no kind of death from age, there's no aging, like you still need to maintain something, right? Like you still need to eat and
And disease, like you could still get sick and you're not, right?
yeah
yeah.
right,
As long as yeah, as long as
you,
curable, it's okay.
yeah
Mm.
If it's not curable, this is why you wouldn't do jobs which can lead to like, I don't know, like cancer or like, you
yeah
know, that these kinds of stuff. I mean, things that are curable, you're open to do it. And I think that would make it that much more. I think it would drain the mental health of people because the moment you know you live forever, you will be paranoid about not doing the right thing in terms of health because you have this chance to return it. And if you ruined it, you're like, I had this one chance of eternity, and it's not like you're coming back to another chance. I mean, even if there are many lives, nobody knows that.
mm.
So it'll like raise the bar of living so high that it will make us like just like how we like we won't be able to move. We will be like frozen in fear. Like, what if I do the wrong step?
Especially because it's a health thing too. Like when you're talking about health, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter how knowledgeable or how much experience that the doctor has that's telling you stuff. You're always going to have uncertainties. Like health is not a binary thing, right? Like um, saying that kale is a healthy food and it's like has all of these benefits is something that you could debate for like forever. There's no certainty, right? Like and it would just be a whole bunch of these kind of things, right? Like um, um, you would always be asking, well, people, you can have these life extension technologies, but am I different? Like, is it not compatible with me? Um, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because of the kind of organic factor, you would never be certain. So yeah, it would be like this kind of endless paranoia of misstepping.
And speaking of money, that's kind of like I don't think that capitalism, whatever you want to call it, it's going to go anywhere, because it's just going to take advantage of these uncertainties, and it's going to build a whole industry around that of how to maintain your healthy lifespan, basically, you know.
Yeah. And I can imagine the marketing would be like, you know, really kind of trying to categorize people in these groups. Like, are you a type B, you know, type B physicality? You're susceptible to these things, so you need these. Yeah.
This would make for a great sci-fi novel.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, religions will come. I'm sure new religions will emerge, and our religions have to adapt to this thing, because, I mean, religions have so much focus on afterlife or the question of death, right? And when that is dealt in a very different way, thanks to some scientific progress, it would be just like, what do we do now? What do we tell afterlife situation? Because some people, we have to make afterlife that much more sexy that people want to die, or do we have to like be now have like new like people decree saying, you know what, now for Catholics, suicide is okay, you know, because that's the only way you get to heaven now, because you don't die, you don't even go to heaven, yeah. So why would people even go to church? So the idea is, if you go enough to church, we will give you a special baptism, then now you can suicide. You've got like 300 confessions on baptism. Now suicide is okay for you. Like, I'm sure they have to be
they shouldn't have called it the New Testament. They should have called it like the Next Testament or something, because now they can't have a New Testament, because that's what they would need, right?
Testament like 3.0.
Yeah, you would need a third one. If people can live, you know, forever, then a lot of that stuff in the New Testament wouldn't really apply anymore. It would be nonsense.
Yeah. And I think also there would be like various, as you were saying, like various kinds of responses. So like new subcultures would emerge based on their response to this thing. Like one subculture would be all about support systems, about how to remain like healthy towards these kinds of things, you know, so you don't create any way to die. Another would be like totally anti this thing. They would think it's the worst thing ever that people don't die ever. So they would like campaign about. They would be like, you know, like I would be like death, like pro-death or anti-death in political conversations and debates. Like presidential debate would be like, I am pro-death, I'm anti-death, like pro-choice, anti-choice. And even our conversation on abortion will change, because now it's not just a conversation of not yet born like humans, but it's about like already born old humans. Like, should they be able to abort their own life even after they abort?
But surely
they will even like have this new phrase that there are two abortions. One is before you are born, and another is after you.
That's interesting though about abortions, and I mean birth in general. Like, wouldn't population control become even more of an issue? And the more I think about that, like you would then see like how people like Elon Musk would be even more interested in colonizing other planets, right? Like,
unless
for all the people.
Harakiri becomes fashionable, like super, like, you know, there'll be hipsters who would be like all about Harakiri because it's our dude, like some kind of weird wokeness.
I choose when to die, kind of thing.
Exactly, and if you haven't chosen how to die, shame on you. You know, but then if somebody's shaming, they're like, "But how, you are not dead to shame me? So how can you shame me?" You know, so yeah.
Do you think that if there was life extensions, there would actually be like a new religion would emerge, or would it be more secularized? You know,
what do you mean secularized? That's such a, you know, as you know, that term is so like weird. I never know what it means.
It would be, I guess, do you think there would be like more of like this spiritual religion emerging, kind of like, I don't know, having like these rite of passages? Or do you think that it would be kind of like all rational based, like all backed by like...
Oh, no, I think religion will be super important, because I'm sure there will be new rituals created where people could just have fake deaths. Because some of those habits and patterns and stories and literature and all the entire corpus of like all that we have mythologies are like most of it is around like death and love and all those key things. Even even the reality of love is so much bound with that. Like you love somebody, you know they will die and all that. And when that is not the case, I'm sure people to still maintain the semblance of humanity, they would have to go through rituals like rite of passage where they would pretend that they, I don't know, some ritual where you have to like take something or pretend you're sleeping for 2 days or 1 week or something. People mourn you as if, or you have to go on vacation to another country and everybody in your neighborhood pretends like some weird shit like that will emerge, right? Which will be weird at the beginning, but in 100 years, 200, 300, 400 years, that will be the new norm. You know, then it'll be like, yeah, it's what it is. It's already been the case with like one of the things you need to be immortal is also a system of property or asset that is immortal. So you can always pay for shit. And that was, you know, the one of the key kind of purpose initiator behind crypto. Like you would have this kind of money that is the states can come and go, countries can happen, but we are immortal and we will be hopefully someday. Then we need the kind of money that is in my wallet, that is always within my wallet, even if it's like a million years, 1 million years. So I think economics will change, like what happened with crypto. Religion will change. I think
ideas of the self would change because now you're, you know, conceptualizing yourself as your own private body that does not necessarily belong to the state.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because now, yeah.
Seems claustrophobic. Yeah, feels claustrophobic from this side. I mean, I'm sure 100 years from now, they will, when people will find these videos that we are doing, they will laugh at stuff that they were right actually. No, by that time, they have already solved this thing. And also, I'm sure they will be like, I would not be surprised if some people try to suppress this technology, you know, so everybody doesn't get it. Like only some people will have it, others don't have it. You have to, I don't know, earn certain level to get this immortality thing. I can't imagine like people work so much to get things all the time. They give their entire life. But imagine if like, and this is like an ancient story. People are selling their soul for immortality, like Faust and all those things. But that is a real thing. Like they will be willing to do all kinds of crazy stuff because it's immortality that you can get out of that, right? That seems scary.
Yeah.
Seems scary. Yeah.
But immortality, do you think? I think it's interesting what you said before about the choosing when you die thing. Do you think that as a variation of that there would develop this thing of kind of a virtual death, or like a death of not of the body but of like your life as you are, so you can kind of, because you live forever, you might want to, like, you know, like kind of like a legal death or something. I don't know, like something where you kill,
refresh.
Yeah,
like a refresh button.
Yeah, like reinstalling the
operating
system.
F5.
Yeah, and there would be, I think, multiple definitions of death, right? Death would no longer be just like what we understand it now. You could have a legal death. You could maybe even have like an embodied death versus like a mental death. You know what I mean?
Because to do something like that, like for it to be, I don't know, official in some way. That's probably the wrong word, but like you would have to lose something, right? Like so you know, there would have to be a cost involved, whether it be, you know, all of your assets or whatever. Just, you can't take them from your one life to another life. So,
I know. I have an idea for an app. You know, imagine the world where death doesn't happen, and we are three like hipster assholes coming up with a new app idea, the new Silicon Valley of Mars. We all live in Mars. This is 2371. Like the app is sort of, it will be an app which will, you know, like the what was that Will Smith's movie about the aliens that they let the cops
Men in
go
Black.
on Men in Black. Yeah, it's like that. They're like, and you completely forget your entire life.
Yeah.
You're like a new person. It's like, so even if you have the same body, you have to like start all over again.
Yeah, that's right.
Given
Like,
a new identity or something like that.
That sounds
like,
awesome.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
that sounds so good.
But I'm sure you can say that though, Aaron. And if you came to that, like, you would probably panic, right? Like you would really feel the cost of that.
I mean, it's creepy because imagine you go through this whole lifetime, you gain all this wisdom, and then you suddenly erase yourself, right? And you don't remember anything. But then you turn to like these journals, like let's say you were journaling, and it's like you're discovering like almost like another like person. It's like, who is this? Like I'm reading through their journal, like who is this? And it's you, but you at the same time you don't, right? It's like
the Bourne Identity.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's like reincarnation. Oh, sorry.
Exactly.
I was just say it's reincarnation without dying, basically. So it's like infinite lives without death, basically.
I wonder if you would have to do something as well where in that case you would have to do something so other people don't recognize you, right? Because you would forget yourself, but other people wouldn't. So you would have all these people coming up to you like, hey Anne, like, who the fuck are you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you have that awareness and you're like, I am no longer Anne, I am now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reborn.
I'm reborn.
No, but that'll lead to lots of mental problems. Because you'll be like, but I am not, but I would like to associate with the good parts of Anne, but not the bad parts of Anne. So I am, like it'll be like, I think maybe, yeah. So it'll be even like somebody will find out that's the bug, I think in tech world of this new app is that people still remember you, and some asshole will be like, I have a new solution. You will have plastic surgery also. And then they'll be like, no, but somebody could still find it. Even better, plastic surgery, memory deletion, and you will be given another planet. Like, by that time, humans have colonized that goddamn thing. Viruses, like hundreds of planets, like one other, like random sampling. Or, it's like soon you could choose how your kid will look like or whatever the genes. You could choose how your new life will be. Like, I want to be, and if you're rich, you can choose whatever you want. You're like, I want to be a doctor that is really like, everybody likes a doctor in a particular planet. Population will be like this. You're like, we found a match for this. It's like, like a Tinder for your new life. Like you're doing a Tinder with yourself, like which one do you want to match? And you get to be that person.
But hang on, but if you don't have the mental capacities for certain things, like, are you still you? Or are you like, is there a neural net now? Like, is there like a whole Elon Musk neural net going on where you're like,
now we know why he's doing the neural net. You get it? It all makes sense now. He's going to another planet, neural net.
But when you think like this, when you think on this, like on this plane of thought, like you start to realize the amount of possibilities of why he could be doing something like this. Like, this is just one possibility. Like there's just so many when you're thinking about like things like manipulating how our brains work and kind of enhancing all that kind of stuff. Like, there's just so many possible things that could be in his mind as far as like what he thinks.
Or it's also possible that he doesn't even know what he wants. He just wants to make it happen, which is usually the case.
Which is probably the case, yeah.
With many technologies, they don't foresee the, long-term outcomes.
One scenario I was just thinking too is, what if you rebirth yourself? Because so like there's two sides of this. Like, what if you rebirth yourself because you are so accomplished that you feel like there's nothing more you can do in that life, right?
And you're bored, basically.
And you're bored, right? Or because you've done such terrible things that you just want to start again, right? Just imagine those two, right? And then when you're reborn, there's going to be a period of not knowing that person before was you. like if you did significant stuff, you're going to be in the history books, right? So like you could potentially be idolizing yourself, or like hating, like just completely hating yourself, and then at some point you're going to find out that that was you.
See, that to me
That's a
sounds like
sci-fi novel.
sci-fi novel with a crime, like a crime sci-fi novel where they have to like check the DNA to know that it was really you.
Yeah, right.
No, there's even like a David Lynchy even a aspect to it where it's like, say you are going about and someday you realize, hold on, like your dad is actually you. Like the guy you used to think is your dad basically was your previous life, the different phase.
Yeah.
He just made this new story, and you're like, then you're like that kind of, Star Wars, where you're like, I am your dad, looking at the mirror.
Oh man, we should totally pitch that to David Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm just thinking because it'll have different impact on different, like, because in India, the religions, they have like, reincarnation, rebirth, and all that stuff. And in the Judeo-Christian Islamic thing, it's like one life. I think it'll impact very differently. Because in the many lives, it's already you have many lives. You keep forgetting every time you're reborn. It's already kind of in line with that. You look differently. So it's like many of them will be like becoming unknowingly more Buddhist or something like that. Not like religion, but like it's like if Buddhism, the whole reincarnation theory was just like a literal thing that actually you forget and you get a new face and everything.
Imagine that's how it actually was. Like, imagine that the ancient civilizations were so advanced in their technology.
Imagine even now it's that. We just think we died. Actually, someday we will realize it's a conspiracy theory. We never died. Like, nobody ever died in this earth. All this. It's like, I remember sometime back, a creationist was, arguing that, oh, there is no, Darwin was wrong, all that stuff. And I asked that person that, so what about fossils? And the person said something incredible, said, fossils are basically devil's work. He makes everything look older than 6,000 years. Then I had to ask him, so do you think the worst person in the universe is obsessed with, not with killing kids or genocide, but with making things look older? That is worse. And it's like that. It's like, I'm sure somebody someday also will co-opt that kind of, storytelling to this and be like, we have always had this technology. And some people like the elite, or what is that, the cabal, the Jewish, the anti-Semitic, QAnon, that kind of people, they have always had it and they have been hiding it. And Bill Gates was there next to the pharaohs, that kind of.
Well, this stuff is like, it's all dependent too on whether we're talking about life extension in the body or in a cyberspace. You know what I mean? Like if it's taking the Neuralink to the next level of just uploading your mind, because then like rebirth can be like absolute, right? You can change everything about you, so nobody recognizes you. It is an actual reset, right? But if it's still in the body, then all that stuff we talked about before would apply, and it's just completely different, right? Like,
yeah, you mean like a VR kind of a thing, that you're like in a virtual reality, uploaded, and then you can just make up as you could even, you don't even have to be in that world for too long. You can upload your mind. I'm sure initially they would be like, once you upload, you cannot download the mind back to the body. I'm sure somebody would create a new patch. In the dark market, you can buy that patch which lets you, and that patch is sold in one of the virtual worlds. So once you're uploaded, you have to go on a search, and this is the Cronenberg,
Although
you basically find the patch and you download to your world, and you can download back to your body, and you get many virtual lives.
Although like the first thing that would happen when we can upload our minds is that somebody will put it on the blockchain, right? So you would probably, I guess you could rebirth, but you would still have that blockchain identity, right?
Yeah, and that'll be the first time blockchain will be useful.
Yeah. Exactly. Born on the blockchain.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, there could be a lot of like interesting sci-fi storylines.
Yeah, but I mean,
Even the way we experience time will be different. Like, I don't know if you will experience like, when we have mood swings, time goes faster and slower and all that. But the moment we know time, we have unlimited time, I think that kind of clock time might even for some people just fall out of just interest. I don't ever look at a watch or a clock, or if you
Yeah,
have
that's
lots of
right.
money, if you have unlimited money, and if you never die, then you're like, why would I? It's like Madonna once in an interview, she could not remember the last time she looked at the price tag. She literally cannot remember the last time she looked at the price tag.
mm,
It'll be like that. Like you'll be like, I don't remember the last time I looked at a watch. You're like, what year is this? Yeah, I don't know what that means. Even if you tell me it's 2021, I don't know what that means. What does
Or
that mean,
yeah,
2021?
or
Because we know,
anxiety.
because we have a sense of continuity. Yeah,
yeah,
you would not know what does it mean. Like even if you are told, you'll be like, I don't get it. Just a number to me.
So,
it's sorry.
oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I was just thinking, like, how we're so like quantitative obsessed right now. Would we become more qualitative with life extension
That's a
if,
good question.
clocks don't matter? And because I feel like a
Mm.
lot a lot that has to do with, like, metrics is associated with saving time, right?
Mm,
And efficiency.
Yeah.
So
yeah, suddenly faster will be less important.
Yeah, the whole point of automation where you just make more with less wouldn't be that attractive anymore.
hmm.
I mean, to some people at least, it won't be attractive anymore. They're like, yeah, I would rather actually have something take more time. So because I have unlimited time, I'll be bored. I mean, things just don't take time. Everything is so fast. You after a while, you just feel life is a drag. And how many more years do you have to do this shit? And you can't even take the call of killing yourself. You're like, I don't know if it's the right call because it's like ending eternity, ending immortality. So it's so tough to commit suicide because it's not like this life, which anyways will end. You're ending earlier. It's like it will never end, and you're ending it. It's like an enormous difficult task. So imagine you're being tortured by somebody. You can't kill yourself anymore. Or you are like having a terrible disease. You have to live with the disease. Unless the disease kills you, then that's that. But if it doesn't kill you, you're like perennially
Yeah,
ill.
Mhm.
yeah.
And it'll be weird for like,
There would have
yeah.
to be like an evolution process, right? Where some people would be able to adjust to it, and some people just wouldn't be able to handle it. And
Mm.
and then you would have people who are born into it, who it's just natural for them, so it's okay. So there would have to
Even
be
new
like a
kids, even new kids into this
yeah,
world, they will born. Yeah.
yeah. If you're born into it, you wouldn't really. I mean, yeah, it should be easy, right? You shouldn't
I
have to
don't know.
worry.
I feel paranoid about it because, especially once you talked about the uploading of the mind,
Mm,
imagine you're a kid and you start having this crisis of faith. You're like, not a religious faith about some imaginary God, but like, you're like, I don't know if I'm real or was I born inside a computer program or am I real? Because that could be a real question. It's not even a fact. In that word, it doesn't even mean that that's not
people
God. God
already
is,
lose their mind over that, don't they?
that's true. Exactly. Like I know Elon Musk thinks it's evolution, but it'll be like much widespread. It'll be like, who the hell knows? Maybe someday somebody will turn off this computer and that's that. Like I'm in somebody computer, somebody's world's character. I'm just what do you call those characters? Background characters in games. I forget the word. You know, you will think, am I that character? You know,
Mm,
just a background character, which is a repetitive thing. Am
yeah,
my consciousness real or similar? Which already exists, but it's not to the point where people are just halting their work. And I mean, few people maybe, but it might be an epidemic level situation where like hordes of thousands of people will be like, I am convinced it's there. I am not. And the worst is, some people might think this is simulation. Others are real uploaded their minds. Because when you're uploading your mind, I mean, you are still real. You have a virtual avatar, but you create all these other made up characters which are not real. And you don't know if you're one of those characters in somebody's simulation or if it's your own simulation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's I find that more confusing than like physical life extension. Much more confusing.
Yeah.
Me too.
Imagine like how, I don't know, this is just like a random thing, but like patents, like if you could patent someone's ideas which exist in like this virtual space, and I don't know, just like
NFTs.
Right?
By the way,
Right?
you.
Right?
That's the only way crypto can be useful, is having the mind uploaded. Somebody
There
has
you
to
go.
figure this out.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Exactly.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, when you explain to people,
science.
yeah. I mean, like somebody can patent, ways of going around a certain virtual world. They get royalties and stuff when everybody does that thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. NFTs make a lot more sense when we're in there with them.
Yeah, when we are one of the NFTs.
Or imagine,
I am an NFT.
Imagine like if we really want to get dark with NFTs, like actually putting like value on each body part and like putting that up as an NFT, and then having like a whole black market going on. Or maybe not black
but that
market.
actually, no, but that happens in India in a weird way, where in India we have idols for many gods and goddesses. And so when you have a god in a temple, like one of the main ones is Kali, and each part of the body is basically kind of surrogate for like different groups of stakeholders or families. And when you go and do some ceremony and you put money, you say, this money is for the pinky, this money is for the nose, this money, and that family gets part of it. So it's like a whole market place, who gets which part of the body of the god.
That's fascinating.
So, yeah, I think, sure, the more I think about it, the more I think there will be like a weird appropriation of some of these kinds of cultural, religious themes. And it'll be like, I NFT, therefore I am.
That blows my mind. I can't. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
My earphones fell.
Yeah.
It's too much.
That's a sign. That's a sign this is a simulation. We got too close to the matrix, the wall of the matrix.
But there's part of it, like what we were talking about earlier, with the kind of like rebirthing, and not even that, just like deciding when you die, all these kind of things. I think we instantly talked about it as science fiction, but we're only talking about this because we believe that there are people who believe this is like real, right? Like, and going, like, not just real, but like inevitable.
Yeah. Around the corner. Not even that, the thing is around the corner. It's about to happen any day.
And do you think that's any different to like religious belief?
Not at all, actually. I don't know. I mean, I kind of spoke about this, but I'm thinking of alchemy, right? Is that what you were gonna say? Okay.
No, I was just thinking that it actually comes from, I would say, this whole obsession with immortality is like, it's quite a home in religion, because in many ways it's borrowed from religion, not the other way around. Because some of the like initial stories of religion, like all religion, the initial stories is all like about, look at the Abraham story. It's about like, you have to kill your son, and then God comes and intervenes, and it's all about death again. So the question of death and the question of immortality is like key to like even the whole point of Christianity is Christ was reborn. That was the biggest of all proofs that he was the actual prophet, right? So it's like, even the question of Moses trying to kill Moses and in the river, all that story, right? So this question of death and cheating death, or let's say hacking death to Silicon Valley people. It's like key to religion. Like that's the one thing that just like, more than praying to something that makes rain and all that, that's nice to have. But what is essential? I don't want to die. It's just fucking scary. I don't know what happened. So some story you can make that kind of captures that death thing in a meaningful way. At least we know death will happen, but there's some meaning to it. You go to heaven or somebody died and they were nice, so or whatever the story is, right? It really matters to people, and I think it continues in the legacy of that kind of crypto. It's not a coincidence that there is this kind of, and same with tech in general, because when you think of automation as like making things faster, making more out of less. I mean, why would you want things to be faster? Because you have limited time in life. If you had not limited time, you didn't have to make things faster. You could wait and you wouldn't be bored. Like, my perspective is like forever, right? Eternity. So ultimately it goes back to death again, right? It's death, time is limited, time is limited. I have to make most of my time. So can I have 9 tabs open right now? And I can't wait for my Uber food to come while I'm not doing anything. So let me watch this movie, stream this thing, download this thing, and order the food. So it's all I have. So I think this the thing of death and how time gets compressed and time gets quantized in terms of like, but I mean, if I may, one last thing in my rant is that I feel there are like 2 different aspects to death. One is that death, cut short life, and we just, feel we have a limited time.
Yep.
And the other part is that we feel that it's not just death, cut short life, so we have limited time. It's just that death ends life itself forever. Like there is no life after that. So it's like a more qualitative change. It's not just a change in terms of instead of 1,000 years, you live 100 years because of death. It's just like there was life, there's no life. It's like a qualitative change. And that is even like in some ways more scary and makes people want to do like crazy stuff, endangering their life to feel alive or whatever. Or some people do evil shit because they want to take on some of dark aspects because it's the one life you have. And I think, end of my rant. I went all over the place.
Well, I find it interesting in like that people genuinely not just believe, but like think they know that this is going to happen, right? But how many efforts are there to actually do this? There's what's the that institute we referenced it in our article.
The cryogenic one, the cryogenic.
Yeah.
But Alcor, I think Alcor.
Like, is there many people out there who are like have projects?
I mean, it depends what it means to do. So even the people who were alchemists were doing the same thing. They were trying to find the philosopher's stone, and ironically, they were turning things to gold, which is also the metaphor for Bitcoin. It turned data or information to gold.
Oh my God, thank you for that. That's like so insightful. Because I've always like, what does it mean? Because you have the golden dawn, like turning to gold. And like that's a really interesting metaphor. I never thought of it, in parallel with Bitcoin. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought that was like a wow moment. Continue.
No. It's true because I mean, and this is why you see that the color of the sun is considered gold. So there's a lot of literature in mythology and religious stuff, which is like the sun being gold and turning into gold is like immortal, like the sun represents light, throughout the world, everywhere. So there's the kind of thing, and it's interesting because Bitcoin has the same theme, And so it's always we have looked for, like, why would you think turning something into gold will lead to immortality? You could think that's weird, but that's like now what we think, when all this promise of technology that happens. So I think people have always tried to do that. It's just now the people focusing on it will claim we are now scientists, not like those crazy alchemists. They didn't know what they were doing. Ironically, Newton spent Newton actually wrote more about theology than physics, and he spent a lot of time in alchemy, doing alchemy. So it's not just cuckoo people doing it. Newton had like thinking about it, the gravity guy, as Steve calls it, the gravity guy,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's alchemy has been like very persistent, and even now that's why you could think of these tech people as the neo alchemists. They're trying to turn something into gold. And this is the reference also they give in Silicon Valley, unicorn startup, all kinds of mythological characters, turning into gold, unicorns. No coincidence that they are just carrying on the legacy of the religious, dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and for more information on that, as the academic, I feel like I should recommend literature books.
Yes.
A really good one.
Instead of sneaking out of my ass. Yeah.
That's not what I meant. But like the myth of disenchantment.
It's too late now.
Exactly. You already said it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this ball is speaking out of his ass. Let's get serious. As the professor, I will tell you, this book by serious people.
That's not what I meant.
But she has to say that for her own credibility, right? Like she can't be seen just, nodding her head at what Anuj says without saying,
I mean, I'd be curious to know where I could find more information.
Yeah, no.
But a really good book that kind of extends on what Anuj was talking about, of like these serious scientists kind of poking around, like playing around with like these theosophic and you could even say like mystic and occult deals, is like the myth of disenchantment, magic modernity and the birth of the human sciences by Jason Ananda Josephson Storm, which actually Anuj introduced to me. So he's not actually full of shit. Credit goes to Anuj. I just started reading it. It's a really great book.
Okay, I'll have to read that too.
He's a super dope guy. You should see him interviewed. He's like super impassioned about his work, and I like it because he's not and I will diss academic. He's not the typical academic in a serious way where they're saying interesting stuff. You're like, why do I feel this? I like this. I'm supposed to like it, but I like it, but I'm still bored. It's not that guy. He has like passion. He's just like, because the book came out of his, I think his grandmother. She was a Mexican lady who was like friends with some of the influential artists and stuff at that time, and he was saying, like, staying with her growing up partly. He's like, some of these great like thinkers and all in their everyday life, they are so much into occult and stuff. And this is actually true because like when you listen to like say people who work with like biosciences, when they talk about the human body, they talk in a lot of mystical terms of body and speak, body says this. But when they write the papers after talking about it, they dry it out all that. They write in a kind of proper scientific way. They cannot give agency to the body. Come on, what are we, spiritual people? Not at all. The scientists, serious people. But when they discuss these ideas to come up with the theories, they use all kinds of mystical language. There's a kind of divide between culturally what actually science is, how it happens, and what we see when we read scientific papers. It seems much more dry, but it's not that dry. And there's a lot of performance, like a theatrical performance of like the codes of what it means to be a good scientist.
But is that the reason why? Is that the reason why the like? So like what I asked before about who's working on this, who's doing this? How come it's not as evident as like, you know, the amount of people that are trying to make blockchain useful, right? Like the amount of, you know, blockchain startups and is it just because like life extension is not really like a capitalist interest? Like, is it because it's more of a personal interest, or is it just because, like, you know what I mean? Like why isn't there like serious kind of
Y Combinator startup?
Like a startup category of life extension.
Well, I think a lot of it has to
Time
do
to
with
change that.
I think a lot of it has to do with federal regulation and like medical knowledge, because a lot of it would be illegal. And actually, the early crypto anarchists, I believe it was Eric Hughes, they were thinking of ways of devising like these platforms, essentially, where people could carry out these sort of experiments in like an underground kind of way, right? Yeah.
Wasn't Peter Thiel doing something where he was creating communities on, was it Peter Thiel who was doing that? Creating communities on boats that were like 300 kilometers off the coast of the States.
I know Scientology started like that.
Like outside of any kind of jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So they Scientology started like that. Scientology started like that. Yeah. And many, I know some hackers that do that.
Yeah.
So would you say, sorry.
I just wanted to say, on the contrary, it's a very capitalist endeavor, actually.
Yeah. So knowing that, then, like, do you think that a lot of it's happening on the down low then? Like in these kind of, whether it's on land, just in secret, or kind of like it must be happening, right?
I think it's happening.
I think it's happening, but also there's the kind of a social taboo around these things. It's still like, I mean, think about like a lot of LSD research is also happening. Even happened during 80s and 90s, but it's super rare because heavily, like immensely regulated. I mean, for all the wrong reasons, but anyways, it was. And this is even more, just like, and also it's difficult to test because you have to kill people, because it's one thing to kill a rat and make it alive. But doesn't have the, I mean, we don't know, but let's assume the kind of consciousness we have. So how do you do that? You have to like get test cases, so it's just not possible to do it. So yeah, so I guess, yeah.
So it's probably happening somewhere out there illegally.
So let us know in the comments if you
if you run an illegal life extension.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Startup. Let us know.
Yeah, because we want to shut it down.
You should definitely contact Y Combinator. Tell them about your idea. Silicon Valley. Yeah. I know a lot of it is just personal investment. I know some of the big crypto people even like donate most of their wealth to support these kinds of things. But I mean, I don't know how much of it is like resuscitate. I mean, how much of it is like prolonging life? It's more like keeping your body kind of in a kind of a frozen state, hoping resuscitated.
Right. Like, but that's not really solving anything. That's just hopeful, being hopeful, right?
Yeah, that's like making better fridges. That's the whole point of it.
Would you say that what would you say that the Theranos thing was like a step in that direction of actually trying to solve this?
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, I mean, there were hoax, of course, but I don't know. They were doing something like you could take a little blood and they could detect everything.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I didn't think of it. Maybe if they continued and they didn't get caught, I wouldn't be surprised if someday when it became more acceptable, they could be like, you know what? The long game, immortality. That's fine.
Yeah, it's like
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I'm sure somebody will do this to get them hope. I'm sure.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
because we're not going to live forever. So we need to stop this one.
That is true. That not yet. Till anybody of you in the comments can tell us.
Such a dad joke. I'm so embarrassed by that. It's terrible. I can do better than that. I can do better than that. But this time, yeah, that's my joke, my closing joke. We're not going to live forever, so let's stop this podcast now.
Okay.
I